What's going on, guys? It's Pete from Pete from Society here. I just want to let you all know that this episode is a very massive trigger warning. We are going to talk about suicide in this episode. The guest today has chosen to come talk about their own story and things like that too. I'd like to let you all know that if this episode's not for you, respectfully, don't listen to it. I completely understand that. I could respectfully get that. And it was a great conversation. I think it's a conversation needs to be had. But if this conversation isn't for you, there's plenty more offerings I have coming up, and I have posted ready for season one, with season two coming out October 6th. Um, Once again, I respectfully understand if you can't handle this conversation. It is 100% nothing on you, nothing but love from this end to y'all. And as I always say, guys, don't ask how your day is. Say, hey, how's your mental health today? Hello, welcome to another exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. And as we record this, is happy 1 year to Pete vs. Anxiety, guys. Ever since doing this show since last year, September, 10 a.m. I have a very special guest today in honor of Suicide Awareness Month. Miranda here has come to tell her story. So, Miranda, please introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Miranda. I am 41 years old. I thought I wasn't going to live past 39, so that is part of my story, and there's a lot that goes into it, and now I am very much an advocate for
Awesome.
Prevention.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, sharing this story, guys. Before you see this video start, anyways, you're going to see the trigger mode again. Just so y'all know, this conversation is going to get rough and real. Just so y'all know, we are going to talk about suicide and sexual. There's going to be, domestic violence will be mentioned as well. So if any of those things trigger you, if you've gotten to this point and you missed the beginning part of this video, please understand that we both respectfully understand if you do not want to listen any further to this conversation. And we're going to turn it over to Miranda. Miranda, go ahead and let them know the story.
Okay, so I'm going to start. I was born to a um, mother who had problems with substances, and I was adopted at the age of 3 with my siblings. After that, I've had a pretty, what you would say, normal upbringing, went to college, and then I grew up in Ohio. I moved to Kentucky probably about a year and a half after I graduated, to be with somebody down there because he had kids there. I started in a field of social work uh, with I guess you would say a CPS. I worked for someone they contracted with. So with that, I'm working with these very difficult clients. I'm hearing difficult things, seeing difficult things on, almost a daily basis. About 3 years after I started there, I actually got recruited into CPS. So I became that frontline worker. I'm going out, responding to emergency calls from, anything from neglect, no food in the home, no heat, to some very difficult things. So it's something that, with a daily basis, and you're hearing them and seeing them, it becomes difficult. It builds on you, and one of the things that adds into sort of when I get to that point is they don't offer mental health stuff. The most they do for you is give you a paper and says you can call this number and you can get some free phone calls with a therapist. So that adds up. My relationship with the gentleman that I moved down there for ended. I spent several years alone, about 5. Got into a relationship, left that one, and I become a supervisor for CPS. And a few months after that, I actually get into a relationship with a guy who's very honest with me from the beginning and talks about his substance abuse that he's had in his past and told me he was 5 years clean. So I gave it a chance. People can change. I didn't hold it against him. Was very honest with him. That's not really what, typically, but things are going well. Things are going very decently. We're getting along really well. And things start to go downhill. He relapses, and I take him to a meeting. I want to be supportive. I want to give him that chance. People aren't always bad. They have hard times and they're dealing with it. That's how he thought he had to deal with it. And I'm thinking he's not using after that. He's really taking on to that. And then things start to get verbally aggressive. But I still don't want to leave that relationship. I'm a fixer. That's who I am. I have a job where, I work with these people thinking I can fix this or help them through it in some way, shape, or form. And I hold on and hold on. And I'm having, hard days at work. I'm letting work slack because of this relationship. And with it, it's, getting in trouble at work because I'm trying to do this. Things are, not going great. And I'm not sure what to do myself. So one of the things that happens is I go down that road with him instead. Like he pulls me into it and I start using, thinking that that's, hey, it works for people. I'm seeing it work for other people. I'm seeing downfalls with people who use too. So I get pulled in because I want to keep this relationship, but I want to not feel horrible about everything else that's going wrong. And at first I'm just like, oh, it'll be this one-time thing. I want this stress, this overwhelming stress to just go away right now. So it was, after work on a Friday, thinking just once, it's going to be mostly out of my system by the time I go back on Monday. And not how it works. You get this feeling, you numb all this stuff, but it comes back. As soon as the stuff's gone, it comes back. So I become that person who chases that numbing. And I get to points where I want to stop, but then I feel pressured to go back into it by this person who's verbally abusing me, telling me, if you leave me, I'm going to do this. If you don't do this, I'm going to hurt you. And I stay with it. He's telling me these things. He's also promising me like this future that's going to be great. And mind you, I'm the only one making money. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one paying for all of this stuff too. So, and you don't see it when you're a fixer. You don't see those things. You just think everything's going great, fine and dandy, because one, nobody's noticing at work when I'm there. So I increasingly use more often to the point where it's not just weekends, it's after work every now and then. It's then becomes before and after, and nobody's noticing this because I work with police officers. I work with people trained to notice all this stuff, and no one's noticing or no one's saying anything. So I think I'm great, fine, and dandy. And then we get to a point where I become 2 days clean. Hadn't used for 2 days. I'm trying to get off of it. He notices and there's nothing left. So he becomes agitated, and it's not an excuse for anybody. He's coming off of it. He's becoming agitated. He wants more.
Yeah.
But I'm 2 days clean. So I'm like, oh no. And I'm not really doing anything. I'm just sort of sitting there. I make a joke, and he starts to verbally like get into my face. And no, he hadn't been in my face before, but he'd made those threats and said negative things. And so I let him go upstairs in the house, and he comes back down. He starts yelling again. Um, and then I find myself pushed down onto a bed, a knee on my head, um, scared because it's never happened before. No one's put their hands on me. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Um, and I have these people, like I see people in this all the time, but again, it's like we're gonna fix this. It's gonna be okay. Let him go up. He calms down, comes back down again, and swings a bat like above my head against the wall. He wasn't trying to hit me with it. He was trying to scare me. Breaks a mirror, um, and pins me down again. I try to message, um, I'll say his friend, but it wasn't his friend. It was his dealer. I guess I should say our dealer at the time, but and say, hey, come get him. Like, I don't know what's going on. He's putting his hands on me. It's not okay. He's like, I can't come. But the next words that came out of his mouth really shocked me because it's a dealer. He knows what's in the house if we have any. He says, if he does it again, call the cops. I don't know, people who do that, they don't tell people to call the cops. They say handle it yourself, but that's what he said. So he comes downstairs again and, he's coming at me. And you know how your phone used to, you can hit the side 5 times
Yeah.
and it
Right.
calls the cops. I did that, but then I instantly hung up because he's coming at me and I didn't, I felt like if he saw that, I'm gone. Um, but I let him know. I was like, hey, I just did that, but I hung up real quick. So thinking that he may not do anything. So he pushes me out of the house. We get in the car. We drive to the dealer's house. We sit there for a couple hours. The dealer knows what's going on, but he doesn't say anything. Um, and things calm down. I'm like, hey, I want to go home. Just let me go home. He has my phones, like, so I can't call anyone. Which he had my work phone too. So I couldn't do anything. So we go to leave, and he has me drop him off at his mom's house, and they follow. His mom follows us in a truck out to the house, but he has me stop down the street so she can go see if there's anyone sitting at the house. When that was all clear, we get back. I go inside. He follows, and he starts to leave. I said, "I need my phones. Like I need them." And he's like, no, you can't have it. I said, just leave my phones. I'm not calling anyone, just leave. He finally does that, and I just break down. Like, I didn't know what to do. I go sit on my bed, and I start getting text messages from him.
Wait,
And
wait. His mom knows about this. Does she know he's using and
mhm,
all these things?
yep,
That's the part I'm trying to process here. I'm listening
yeah,
to this, and you're like, "Mom knows about it. She's following him to the house." I'm like,
yeah.
"What?"
She's afraid of him. Like, she was afraid of him.
Oh, okay, it makes sense.
So,
Because my
yeah,
next question was going to be, is like, is she scared of him? Because it's just like,
yep.
what?
Yeah, and
Damn.
I've never really met her. Like, I've seen her, but I haven't got to like talk to her, and there's probably a reason behind that. But
Yeah.
yeah, she was afraid of him, which is, I talked to her somewhat after everything that happened, and that's what she's like, I'm afraid of him. And I came to find out that she actually had a protective order against him. He wasn't even supposed to be at her home. Um,
Oh no.
and he has pushed her down before, like, and so he has, this is a, something for him. Like, he feels like he needs to be that dominant person, and dominant to him means you're not doing what I'm saying, I'm going to hurt you.
Right.
And that may have been part of what he's brought up in. He does
Hmm.
have an abuse in his background. He also has prison in his background, so there's things that contributed to these behaviors and things that are there. Um, and I did know some about, I knew about prison, but not the abuse right away in his background. But again, there's things that he's been through therapy, but he doesn't follow through, and he's using the substances to numb it. And once he doesn't have that, and it goes back to that point of I need something to numb this, things are coming out. But I'm sitting on that bed just, and he's texting and he's saying these things, and I get the one text that I sit and I stare at for hours of, you need to do the world a favor, and
Oh
you need to
no,
kill
he
yourself.
didn't. Oh, fuck no.
Um,
Jesus.
And I just kept looking at it, and I said, that's just wrong. Like, you shouldn't talk to me like that. And the next thing I know is I hear knocking on my door, and I can't move. Um, and he comes in because he was supposed to come get his stuff. He comes in, like, he's like, it's locked. Come open the door. What are you doing? He's yelling. I said, I can't get up. Like, so he comes in, he finds me, and he's freaking out. Um, and he goes, do you know what's going on? I said, I don't know what you're doing. I just know I can't move. And he takes a picture of me, and I'm laying on the bed with my 9mm beside me. I had, and to me, like, I don't remember all of that stuff right then. I didn't even remember him coming in when I woke up the next time, but that all this came to me later that, hey, I did this. But he proceeds to be freaking out, not because I did something to myself, but that I need help, and he can't be there because he has a warrant for back child support. So his mom was in the driveway. He took my car, um, and he had his mom call 911, and he left in my car, and she was there. I remember people coming in, and I remember them getting me onto um, the cart thing, but I
Yeah.
don't remember really leaving the house or getting in the ambulance. Then the next thing I know, I wake up in a hospital 3 days later. Um, they lifelined me from the local hospital to Louisville. Um, and I just remember a guy sitting by the door, and I'm like, "Who are you?" And he tells me, "I'm just here. I'm watching you." I'm like, "Okay, I know it's a hospital." Um, they pull I had a breathing tube, and so they pulled that out of me, and I had to pass speech test and all that stuff. And this whole time, the only thing I realize is my left side of my body is not moving. My right is moving somewhat. And there's people watching me all the time. I get taken out of the intensive care, and get taken to a regular area. My parents finally come in, and I'm like, okay, yeah, something happened to me. I'm hurt. That's all I really remember at that time.
Yeah.
Um, and psych comes in, and it's this big guy that has this funny laugh, and he starts asking those questions. Do you know where you are? Do you know what day it is? I don't know what day it is, but I know it's in December, and um, something happened. And he goes, "Do you feel like hurting yourself or somebody else?" It triggers something that triggers that memory. Like, oh, I hurt myself, didn't I? Yes. So I had used a 9mm on the right side of my head, um,
Oh, Jesus.
and I said, "Oh, I don't feel like hurting anybody else." It's the only time I've ever had that suicidal ideation enacted. Like, I've never had suicidal ideation before in my life. One
Yeah.
and only time. And it was because I just got abused by this man. Work was going awful, seeing awful things, getting in trouble at work, letting it slack. I built this career and doing great, but it's that substance that takes everything from you.
Hmm.
It it took the job, and then it proceeded to take even more from me as we go on. But then they ask about drugs, and I'm like, yeah. And I don't want, my parents are sitting next to me, so I'm trying not to, like, say all these things about myself that I don't want them to know at that time. So I'm like, well, he forced me, which at times he had forced me to use drugs. It wasn't really my choice at some of the points, but that's all I was
Yeah.
willing to let anybody really know at that time, that it wasn't a choice. And I come to find out that my levels were not only the methamphetamine, which I was using with him, but it'd been laced with ecstasy, and the levels were like
Holy
off the
shit.
chart. Yeah,
Damn.
I'm like, ah. I was like, I don't think I had that much. Like, there was none in the house, but they're testing everything when I come in, and I'm just like, oh wow, like, and I didn't know about the ecstasy until I got my papers later on to like go over stuff for disability. But um, I'm sitting in the hospital. I have to anytime they sit me up because I can't move. I can't move my left side of the body. Um, Due to what I did because not only is there now a crater because they had to like I mean I shattered it, but they had to cut off parts so things
Ooh.
swelling stuff can happen. And but I still have part of it in my head till this day because they couldn't get it out. Um, when I sit up, they have to put a helmet on me because if I fall and I hit that spot, it's instantly like you're gone.
Yeah.
Um, and because I'm trying to learn balance and see if things are going to come back. Um, and I get an infection in my brain, obviously, because I put a foreign object in there, and they have to fight that with very harsh medications and antibiotics, which I was on for about 4 months total. But
Yeah.
they had to change it because those chemicals that they have to put into you that are so strong, if you stay on them long enough, they start shutting things down. And
Yeah.
I started getting real sick, and they had to switch them that just so I didn't shut down other ways. But the first time that they set me up, it was so hard because you only have half your body. You're not gonna that half wants to fall down, another half wants to stay up. It's not great. Um, and I get ready to leave and go to another place, and I come up to Ohio because all of my family's up here. I didn't have family down there. So no one knew anything because I was down there, they were up here. No one was seeing me. They're barely talking to me. Um, because this happened in December. I didn't even get invited to Thanksgiving in November before that happened, which weighed on me because, family, they don't know anything. Like, why am I not getting invited to these things? I'm in
Yeah.
communication with people, but um, I come to they into Columbus, which they have one of the top traumatic brain injury places that also works a lot with people with strokes.
Yeah.
Um, so I was there for a month, and they told me you're never going to walk again. So not only have I hurt, hurt myself to the point of they're telling me I'm never going to walk again. Um, I already know there's no way I'm going to go back to my house in Kentucky. Um, I have, leave at work, and I'm thinking, how am I going to go back to work? Um, and they're like, well, we'll work on that. Things you can do, we'll see what happens. Because my speech and everything comes back fine. My mental, capacity is there. I'm talking to people. I'm remembering recipes that I used to cook. I could tell you everything that was in them and, how long to cook it for and what temperature. So my memory's there. I'm teaching my speech pathologists and stuff about the case plans I wrote for work. So, this is what you do, this is what you put in it. So things are there. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe you will get somewhere where I can at least get a job, do that kind of stuff, and get back to it. And maybe I can go live somewhere down there and keep a job in that field. Because I'm at that point I was 8 years in, so 2 years away from being fully vested for where I worked, which is great when you're have a career and you get, think in the future for retirement and stuff. Um, but it was you're never going to walk again. Um, and it's hard to hear. So not only have I just hurt myself, try to, you know, kill myself. Now I'm having the suicidal ideation a lot. Like, oh my gosh, like My life's completely ruined. What did I do? Will I ever be able to live by myself? Um, what am I going to do? Like, I'm not one to sit around and do nothing. Is that what my life's going to be? I'm going to be a burden to everybody. Um, so those are things that were constantly going on in my brain. I'm getting movement back, start to get movement back in the left side because we're working on things every day, 5 days a week. And my leg starts to work. It just, it has some issues, doesn't have strength. My arm starts to, move a little bit. I can move things back and forth. So great, but it's still, you're never going to walk again. Let's fit you for a power chair. Let's get this stuff done. And I'm there for a little over a month. And I get sent to another place because where I live now, I actually live with my parents right now, because
Yeah.
it's what it needs to be. But I went to another place for another 5 months, 6 months, and it was a skilled nursing facility. So a nursing home that has extra services and stuff. So another 5 days a week doing physical therapy, occupational therapy. And the first day I'm there, they go, "We're gonna stand up." And I'm like, "No, like I don't stand up. Did they not tell you that when they transferred me?" "Oh no, we're still gonna stand up." I'm like, "Oh no." So I had a great physical therapist put the gait belt around me and goes, "Okay, we're going up." And I'm like, only stood up for like half a second, but worked on it. And within just a couple of weeks, I'm standing up. Like I'm standing up. I'm able to put pressure. I'm able to stay standing, holding on to stuff. I'm able to help myself to stand up. And then within a couple months, I'm standing on a walker, and they said, "Okay, we're gonna take a step." I said, "I was told I'm not gonna walk. Like, I'm not gonna walk." "Well, you've built in all this strength. We're gonna try." So I can definitely pick up the right foot. The left, they're helping me pick it up, but they're
Yeah.
step. The things that they told me I wasn't gonna do. Um, and it goes from there. I start with, a couple steps at a time to 5 feet, 6 feet, 10, 20. And by the time I left there, I was doing about 65 feet with a walker. And at one point, they actually got a brace for my leg to help pick my toes up because that was it. It's basically drop foot. So when you don't use the muscles or you tear that, the
Yeah.
tendons there doesn't pick up. And I left there and I came to my parents' home and continued working. I did have a relapse when we went down to get my stuff in Kentucky because he sort of helped.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, and that was part of the thing. Like, they pull you back in, you get into that cycle. He's like, "I'm so sorry," and I, at one point, hadn't got my phone back, so I hadn't had those messages to, like, see those things and experience those things. But he pulled me back in. "So sorry, won't happen again, whatever." I'm like, I'm already knowing that I'm not staying down there, but he comes, he helps me get in the house because my parents couldn't help me get in the house. There's no ramp. So he brought a ramp, and I wanted to go in the house. I needed to say goodbye to this house that I was paying for that I thought was going to be like somewhere I lived forever.
Yeah.
So that's, saying goodbye to and losing my own house. Um, and I relapsed with him. There was a week of hell because I spent some time with him where he ended up putting his hands on me again, and I had to call somebody to come help me. And I come back up to Ohio just because, I wanted to try that down there, thinking, okay, we can make it work. Come back up here after he does that, and it's, whatever. The cops, I called them and they tried to find him because he never came back to the house when I called the cops because he left. Um, they did catch him. He spent some time in jail for some other stuff, and they are actually they're not following through with anything, and that's a whole nother thing, and definitely adds to some, I guess, depression. I don't feel like any of that has anything to do with any of my suicidal ideations that I have every now and then, with everything changing. I got a message from my employer because you're on leave. But they then told me that short term and long term disability will not cover the type of injury I have. Um, so a one of the things that I feel really strongly about is I worked in mental health field where you're seeing these things and they're telling me, well, we're not going to cover that, even though the only thing they do to help is offer phone calls. Um, and they won't
Isn't it
cover
crazy
that.
though? I mean, if that's the field you work in, and that's the much. This
Mm-hmm.
is what I mean. This is so frustrating to listen to because it's like you work in the field, and then it's like, well, we're not gonna do anything for you, fuck you,
Yeah.
basically. And it's like, really, after everything I'm doing, you're understanding all these problems I have, and the situation of what happened, you're gonna be like, well, oh, disability won't cover that, you know. And I get it, maybe it's the insurance company, but at the same time, it's like, really, you don't have anything in place for these kind of things.
Yeah.
I just don't get it, man.
Yeah, it's here's a paper. I mean, you can call that number, but there's no the only regular check-ins there are is like you meet with your supervisor and they're like, "How you doing?" "Okay." "Oh, you're not doing great. Do you need to take a day off?" "Okay, that's it." No like mandatory check-ins with a mental health professional, nothing like that, which I believe should be something that in a field where you're seeing and hearing things like that on a regular basis
Yeah,
that whether it's once a month or every other week or something, or once a week, that you're required to meet with someone who is some sort of therapist or counselor just to go through some of those hard things, and really process the things. Because I, as a professional, I'm seeing it and I'm meeting with the people that I'm supervising and I'm checking in, but my checking in, they're not necessarily going to tell me because they want to do their job. Like that was one of the things I did take days off, especially one time when there it was the hardest case I ever had. I did end up taking a day off, but I was trying to push myself. I stayed and did my job for 2 more days, really not processing any of it. But I started
yeah,
to get short with people. That's when I noticed, like, okay, yes, I need to take a day off because I'm snapping at people because not only have I not really slept because I'm reliving what I saw, I'm trying to do not only that case but the many others, and I'm not processing anything because I want to do my job.
yeah.
So yeah, that's it's ridiculous that there's nothing in place. And I'll tell
It
you,
really is.
yeah,
It really
I'll
is. It's
tell you,
really ridiculous.
I know of in just in my area of there was one successful and at least one other attempt, of suicide just in a 7 county area while I worked for the 8 years. So that's that says something in itself.
Yeah.
But I get up here, I'm starting to walk and things like that. But it's I don't know if you want to call it like survivor's guilt. I know it's, this trauma, but sometimes I'm like, why am I here when other people try
Yeah.
and
It's
do
survivor's
not
guilt.
do?
That's exactly what you call that. Yeah.
Yep.
It's understandable though because you start wondering why am I still here after they've been telling all these negative things. Oh, why can't you can't walk and these things
Mhm.
like that. It's never great to hear, especially after what happened. And that was just crazy. Like you didn't realize what had happened. I'm surprised no one said anything to you until then. When
Mhm.
the site come in, the shrink comes in and starts asking you questions. It's like, okay, I would have been like, what the? I would have been freaking out. I don't think I would have been as calm as you were. I would have been going nuts. I'd be like, yo, what the hell's going on? What is this? Because things would have started adding up little by little for me. But
Yeah.
that's just, well, no, it makes sense why he was freaking out because it was like, what the fuck, dude? That's
Yeah.
crazy. Like I am speechless. For once in my life, I am very speechless by what you just said. I was listening to that whole story, like, oh my god, it's like I'm not saying anything because I'm like, dude, what is going on? This is crazy. And then all of a sudden, you're like, well, the gun's laying next to me, and I'm like, did
Yep.
she what the fuck, dude? Really?
Yep.
And it's just like it's just real though. I think people need to hear these stories to know that it's real. So, Miranda, let me ask you a question though. For anybody out there you feel that maybe having those same thoughts, do you have any advice for them? Some kind of inspirational quote to them. Let them know they're not alone. Of course, obviously, because we've all been there. I've been there myself.
Mhm.
Do you have any inspirational words for them?
We always have those bad days that come. We always are going to have them. But you remember that the good days come too. So we're always going to have good ones and we're always going to have bad ones. So you just have to sort of hold on. And it's okay to talk to somebody because you don't know what you don't know and you don't know what you can get through. So you just got to keep pushing. Just keep pushing, hold on, and it's bring it up. Like talk to it. You have to, um, being open about our emotions is going to break that stigma.
Yeah, definitely.
Being
No, I
completely
agree.
open. And that brings like part of the more that adults are open, the more kids can be open. They can feel like we're a safe space because we're open. So that's going to cut down on young children doing these actions because we're open up, they're going to be able to open up to us. And it can save a life. You like me telling my story can save a life.
Exactly, because
Um,
somebody's going to hear it and it's going to touch
yeah,
somebody's heart, and they'll be like, "Well, I feel the same way Miranda does," and things like that too. And thank you again for coming and sharing that, because it's hard for people to hear these stories. Like,
well, yeah,
I listen to these things. I've been doing this for a year now, and I can tell you there are some crazy fucking things that have been said to me in my life, and I think yours is right there with number two. It's just like the story alone is just, but it's real. It's a real conversation. When it comes up, you don't know what to say next, and like you said, start talking to people. Like, say something to somebody. You reach out to me. You can reach out to several other people.
yeah,
I know that if you need help, talk to somebody. At least talk to somebody. If you need 988s out there for that reason, call them.
yeah,
Talk to these guys. They're trained for this particular situation. The same thing goes for the people trying to help somebody. Like, keep that in mind. You can call 988 on the third call and 3 a.m. in there, and then hand them off to them if you really feel like your friend is getting to that point. And you could also ask them, hey, listen, are you thinking about killing yourself? I mean, it's not wrong asking them that question. You'll send
no,
that shock value to them, and they'll think about what they're saying. And things like that too. And it's hard though. Miranda's situation, she's using and everything else, so she's got all these contributing factors in there.
mhm.
She's being assaulted by this guy, who's just verbally abusing her and physically hitting her and things like that too. And so she's under the pressure of all those things. And some of us feel like that every day, man. We get cornered, and then we just don't know where to do, and then we feel like that's the only way out.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. Like even now, like I can't say that I don't have suicidal ideations now. Like there are thoughts. I've had so much change in my life, and it changed all in an instant. And I had a choice. When I woke up, I had a choice from then on that I either stay down and let life defeat me because it already has, or to keep going. Like I woke up for a reason. So I'm not going to put it down. I'm not going to just stay there. I've learned to walk when I was told I wasn't going to. I still am a wheelchair probably 95% of the time, 98% of the time, but it's not keeping me down. I'm advocating for DV. I'm advocating for suicide prevention. I'm making sure people are aware of what's there for them, what they can do, that I'm there to talk. But also, I've got a proof of disability, and that's to me, yes, great, I have that there. But I'm starting to plan to go back to school to get my master's so that it's easier for me to find a job that I can do to help people because my life is to help people. Like that's what I fell in love with it, way back when, and I want to do that now. And it's easier for someone who's in a wheelchair to have an office. And when you're working in social work, a master's is needed to have those office jobs that are you're not out into a going into a home or things like that. So I have that ability to do that, and I'm not just being okay with where I'm at. I'm going to continue to grow. I'm going to do better, and I'm going to continue to help people the way I know how. And I even said if I get my master's and it's just too much, that at least I have it and I can do what I can and use it when I can. Because I do have a traumatic brain injury. I do have troubles that I'm tired a lot, but again, you got to keep pushing yourself to become better.
Yeah.
And if you're okay with where you're at now, then you need to be truly okay with it because you'll never get to that next level if you just sit there.
Yep.
So that, that's, I was like, I got to do something. I can't sit around. I'm going to at least do these classes, get my master's, and do what I can from what I can and where I can.
Listen, my promise to you is if you get your master's, we're celebrating it. We're literally going to make a post. It's going to be added to one of the episodes, or I'm going to make a video. We're going to celebrate this because you're proving that even though with all these things going on, that you're not letting it keep you down. And I mean, that's awesome. That's human will right at its best right there, and that proves that regardless of your situation, you're like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to let life keep fucking pushing me down. I'm going to show it. I'm going to push back, and accomplish something. And that's awesome. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so glad that you're not letting it keep you down, man. That's so great. And then it's so tough though when it comes to those things. Even having a team things like this is so hard too for a lot of guys. And like you said, you get tired very easily. So like we look forward to seeing it and celebrating it because it's gonna be something awesome to talk about. Like, hey, listen, look, she just got her master's. She was on here flexing about it. She's like, I'm gonna get that master's. It's okay, everybody, enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, time for the fun part of this conversation, guys. I know we've talked about all the serious stuff, but let's ask Miranda the two important questions of the day. Okay, so Miranda, I don't know if you've ever seen any of my episodes before. There are two questions I ask every guest that comes on this show. Okay, so the first one is credit to my good friend Gretchen. She runs two podcasts, in fact. One called the Survivors Podcast for people that are interested in more conversations about suicide. Definitely check them out. Her and Dr. Lisa Sugarman are together. Lisa Sugarman is actually the founder of HelpHub.co. When Gretchen and I interviewed, she asked me an important question I'm going to ask you now. Miranda, if your mental health had a song, what would that song be?
Headstrong by Trapped.
And in fact, I love it. That's great. That's awesome. See, that's the first time we had Trap, though. We've had Michael Jackson. We have Rage Against the Machine. We've had everything on this show. So that's so awesome, though. And okay, so the whole point of this podcast, and the number one question I'm going to ask, and I ask every guest the same thing, if you could break the stigma about mental health, I mean, anything that you see that just downright pisses you off and you're just like, yo, can we stop doing these things? What would that be for you?
Stop saying that people are selfish when they commit or are successful with suicide, because in no way, shape, or form was it about me. I thought I was doing a service to everybody else.
Y'all hear that? She said it in the back loud enough for y'all. Stop blaming people saying it's a selfish act, because it's not. Sometimes it's more to it than you realize,
Mm-hmm.
Miranda, if anybody wants to reach out to you, where would they reach out to you? Is Instagram your best place in case anybody wants to social support? Say, hey, I saw your story, I enjoyed it, I agree with you, I'm right there with you. Where can everyone find you to root you on?
Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok, and it's
Awesome.
Miranda, like my name. Yep.
She said she's on TikTok as well, guys. She's everywhere. And with that being said, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. Miranda, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate this. I'm so glad you came and shared this story with me. I'm definitely going to put it out there. I'll see some other people. I may have some other podcasts that may want to have you come on to. I'll reach out to them, see what they think. Maybe they want to jump in the conversation with us
Okay.
and things like that too. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming and share that story. Like I said, you're gonna touch somebody's heart, and then somebody's gonna reach out, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, man, I did something just by sharing my story." A lot of times. So thank you for still being here. I appreciate you being that undying spirit of, just because I'm down, I'm not gonna let life fuck me. I'm gonna take it and kick its ass. I love it. I absolutely love it. And
Yes,
with that
and
being
happy
said,
birthday.
guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is out. We're going out. We're gonna make it 2 years strong. Going strong here next year. Next year we'll be back here next year to talk about the same thing again. With that being said, guys, we're going to wrap up this episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. You know where to find me. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety. I'm on X all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify all the way down to iHeartRadio. And as I always say, it costs nothing absolutely to be kind to somebody. One kind act you can do can save someone's life. Or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete vs. Anxiety saying, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your mental health today?
So bad, everything's wrong, I'm breaking my neck. It's a sign of respect, there's a knife for death, but never die for the price of a check. I got my integrity and my